Good morning, it's David Rizzo with Rogers Gardens, and today we're going to be going over December checklist. So we're almost heading into winter, so now we're getting ready for the cooler nights, a little bit of rain. So today I'm going to go over everything what we're doing for December. So that's the main thing, because we are starting to get colder at night. Days have been short for a while, but the main thing is that we are getting a little rain. That's another important thing that I'll talk a little bit more when I go into more about the watering. But first thing I'm gonna touch on a lot of the annuals. We'll go through the vegetables. We'll go through some perennials and citrus and herbs and bulbs, and we'll go through all that stuff. And save your questions for last, and then I'll answer them when we finish. Okay, so let's get started. So right now, as we go into winter and we're really cooling down at night, so the first thing, I'm a big vegetable grower. I grow all kinds of edibles and vegetables. So this is the time of year we're switching to all of our winter stuff. So this is cauliflower right now. So I like to get color packs because I plant them in multiples. This is snowball. So cauliflower is right now. You want to do cauliflower. You want to do broccoli. You want to do kale. This is a really good Russian kale. I have Italian kale too. There's Nero Toscano that's really good. But the one thing with these plants, always put them to the back of your garden because they get bigger. So space them about 18 to 24 inches apart. They are heavy feeders, so I will feed with a vegetable fertilizer. Or my favorite, I really like to go through and use, let me go grab it real quick. I'm gonna, I like the all-purpose. This is a really good one by Down to Earth. So I love the all-purpose, but one thing I do a lot, and I'll show you guys, I love to compost tea a lot. Since I don't feed as much stuff during the winter time, I like the Malibu, and it's a tea bag and you steep it in water, and so this is a good one for just adding nutrients and getting the plants going. So that's with the broccoli, the cauliflower, the kale, all your greens too. So all your lettuces. This is bib lettuce. You can do romaine, and so all your lettuces, your spinach, even your bok choy is good. Your Swiss chard. Now's the time to plant Swiss chard. And I didn't bring any plants. I think oh no, I do cilantro. So the biggest thing with cilantro is cilantro does better during the wintertime than it does in the summer. When it gets too hot, it bulks. So now's the time for your cilantro. So there's some really good varieties like Santo, there's Leisure, there's a whole bunch of them. So now's the time for cilantro. So that does better in the wintertime. So, and then seeds. Here was I was gonna tell you guys. So carrots, there's always a debate with carrot transplants. And so I don't like doing carrots from transplants because let me pull one out and I'll show you. What happens when their roots hit the bottom, they twist and they spiral. So what I do is any of your root crops, and that holds true for beets, radishes, and carrots, I like to do seeds. And so that's when I'll go more over the seeds, but I like doing seeds. So with any of your root crops, you want them to produce a straight trunk, long trunk, and not twist. So that's why carrots, don't buy transplants, buy seeds. So that's one. And then what I was gonna show you. It's also a good time to plant your perennial vegetables, like your artichokes. This one is this is a new one called Imperial Star. Green Globe is a good one too. Mary Washington asparagus. This is a good time to put in asparagus because even though we're a little early, the crowns will really take off this time of year. So very important for that. Another thing that I brought up, I just got to dig a little bit. If you haven't planted your garlic yet, garlic is good, and I break up the cloves, put them about an inch deep with the point facing up. Onion sets, you can plant onion sets right now. Onion sets are usually 1 year old bulbs, and so what I like, instead of the onion sets, I like to get the plants. And these are shallots, but same thing with shallots or with onions. I would buy this and separate them and roll them out and plant them about 6 inches apart, 8 inches apart. So that's a good one right now. Strawberries, I actually do plant strawberries right now, but I'll cut them way back and plant them. This is a really good variety that we get sometimes called Gaviota. And so some of my favorite strawberries are, I love Gaviota if I can get it, but my other favorites, I like Seascape, Chandler, and I do like Albion's pretty good, but I like Seascape and Chandler. Those are my two favorite big everbearing types. And that's really it with the vegetables, but now's the time to plant. No more summer stuff too. Like a lot of people have a lot of their tomatoes hanging on and their peppers hanging on. We're getting so damp and cold at night, you're just gonna, sometimes I rip them out and start over because I start seeing blight in the garden, and I don't want the blight, the early blight, to really take off and stay in the garden. So that's why after usually, you know, November, early December, I rip all those summer vegetables out and I get rid of them and start fresh next year. Some other, like another mix that I like is, I like the microgreen mix. Like this is good because this has arugula in it. And if you guys get into really growing a lot of arugula, there's a really good variety called Astro. So Astro arugula is good. And then sometimes they mix in another one of my favorites, but I didn't see the plants. It's called Royal Oak Leaf Lettuce. That's one of my favorite lettuce mixes. And so let me go into seeds on that, and then we'll move on to the herbs and the flowers. But I just want to show you some of the seeds, some of my favorite seeds that I love. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. I like the mixed lettuces. One of my favorite mixes, and I know you guys have heard this before, Gourmet Baby Greens. I love this lettuce mix because it has red sale in it, it has raw oak leaf, it has romaine, and so I do it as a cut and come again. Chef's Medley is a really good one. This is more of a spicy mix. You can do all your spinach from seed. So spinach is going to be from seed. All the carrots. Let me go through where I do all the carrots. So the carrots are really good, like the little fingers and the natnies and the royal chutneys and all those really good varieties. So I do all those. When you're planting carrots, do little rows and only do the seeds about a 1/16 inch deep. Don't do the seeds really deep, then they won't germinate as good. I brought up some of my favorite beets. I like this Italian heirloom called Chioggia. I do a lot of the mixed beets. I didn't see some of the other ones, but there's another good one. If you guys juice a lot, there's a variety called Early Wonder Beet, and it's really good for juicing. And another one that is good for juicing is the Tango Celery. Look at these little transplants, perfect size. When you're getting color packs, don't get tall, littler is better. So that's Tango Celery, that's another good one to juice. Radishes are good too. The French, I just dropped it. The French breakfast, we have a lot of background noise because they're really going after the Christmas trees this year. So French breakfast radish, that's sweeter. But if you like the little spicier radishes, then you can do like the cherry bombs and the little cherry bells. This is another good one called Easter egg radishes, and they're actually different colors, and they're really good too. They're more sweeter, so I like doing those. Oh, here goes the one right here, Crimson Giant. That's a spicy radish, and they come up quick, about 45 days. You can, like, still with all your lettuces, your French romaine cos, I love the Bibber, the butter crunch. Another one that I love doing right now is your sugar snap peas. So this is mammoth snow pea. This is the giant snow pea, but you can do sugar snap peas, you can do shelling peas, you can do the Oregon snow peas like this one. You always want about a 4 to 5 foot trellis, and I use bird netting, and I plant them right at the bottom. And you want to make sure with peas that you get a lot of sun. And remember, peas are winter, beans are summer. So you're not doing any beans right now. The only beans you're doing are the what am I thinking of? It's one of the fava beans. So favas you do right now. A lot of people always say that you have to inoculate your peas and your legumes and your beans, and most people do, but you know what? I found when I'm using the organic fertilizers like the down to earth stuff, this is so rich in mycorrhizae, which is a beneficial fungus, that it doesn't seem to make a big difference now if I use inoculants or I don't, because there's so much organic matter and there's so much natural fungi in our soil. So that's with peas. And then I can see Sarah. Hi, Sarah, off to the side. And let's go through. And so what else do I have? And so that's it for the vegetables, but get them in right now, get them growing. With lettuce, you can plant lettuce really close, 4 to 6 inches apart. I direct sow spinach, I direct sow cilantro, lettuce, carrots, beets, and radishes. So that's that. And a good little trellis for the peas, about 4 to 6 feet tall, and you're good. And so now on to herbs. So right now we switch gears into the herbs. So what we're doing right now is think of more perennial herbs. So the basil is done for the year, the dill is done for the year, the tarragon's sort of finished for the year. It gets too cold at night and they don't like it colder and wetter and damper. They're summer herbs, so they like it in more the beginning of spring, summer. So right now, your parsleys, like your curly parsley, your Italian giant parsley, you can still do oregano right now. It's going to slow down. I just wanted to bring this up. So basil, I'm not doing my basil till next year in spring. April is when I'll do basil next. So no more basil this time of year. So again, you have more oregano. So mainly it's like, I didn't bring any sage up. So it's always sage, oregano, parsley, and then you can do thyme. I've been really low on thyme, but English thyme is my favorite regular drying thyme. French thyme is good too, but it's a little bit more like stronger flavor. So but those definitely now, and chives you can do right now, like the garlic. We were just really low on them. One of my favorite oregano is, I love this spicy oregano is a good one, and one of my other ones is, I didn't see any, but it's Mexican oregano. Mexican oregano is really good. You can still do marjoram right now. Marjoram established is really good this time of year. If we get really cold though, parsley will slow down. So do all your herbs right now. With herbs in general, just make sure that they get a good 6 hours, 8 hours of sun. Because a lot of people ask me, well, they work in 3 to 4. Yeah, they'll grow in 3 to 4, but that's not the optimum amount of sunlight for them. So that's crucial with herbs, is sunlight. And you can put them in containers, you can put them in the ground. But another factor that I always look at, when we get little rainstorms every 2-3 weeks, I shut the water off. I don't turn the water on at all. And so if we get, when I first put stuff in, I might water once a week to get stuff established. But we just went through that rain last night. And, we had some rain about 6 and more rain at 9, and it soaked the garden in good. I'll probably skip next week, and I probably won't water until next Sunday or Monday maybe. Okay, so that's with the veggies, and that's with all the herbs. And so now with the flowers, let's go through the flowers really quick. And so now you're into your winter annuals. So violas are coming in right now. So the little Johnny jump ups, let me stand over so you can see me. So little Johnny jump ups are coming in. Violas are great. Violas will bloom all the way till spring. I'm just gonna go down here and grab a few of them. Actually, I think what I'm gonna do, even though it's a lot, let me move. I'm gonna move this off the table. So then I have more room up here. I'm dropping stuff, sorry. Let's put all this stuff up here. Then I don't have to keep on ducking down. Let's put that up there. Let's move this. And now we got some room. So now think of all your winter annuals. So you got your really good snapdragons are coming in, your sonnets. One of my favorite varieties, 18 to 24 inches. This is a tropical, like a Tahiti sunset color. Good one, love using those. You got pink sonnets, love using those. Ornamental kale and cabbage. And so we got all the ornamental kales and the cabbages right now. So those are good to plant. And then this is ornamental cabbage, if I can get it out. Let me see if I can squeeze it out. So the difference between the two is, see, the kale is really frilly and the cabbage has a flatter leaf. So that's the biggest difference. And you have the Dusty Millers. So if you want to do more of a Christmas garden, I'll show you. Iceland poppies are good right now. Plant them full sun. The kale and the cabbage can handle some shade. Snapdragons more sun. And let me just set these down. Now we're getting into all of our cyclamens. And so cyclamens are actually a bulb, and they're going to start blooming now. They can handle a little bit of sun. They do want a little bit of shade. They can handle some sun, but the red flowers always bleach out during the wintertime if it's in too much sun. When you're deadheading them, see when the flower gets dry, go down here and tug on it. pull it out. I'll go around it. See another one that's a little dry. And what you're doing is you want these new flowers. I'll show you. Let me just see, these new flowers are coming out. You want the energy to really, water and nutrients go to these new flowers. So if they're a little dry and after the rains, they just reach down there and give it a little tug and pull it out. And that's how you deadhead the flowers and the cyclamens. And so even right here, got a little dried one right there. And again, just started give it a tug. This one's still okay. And with cyclamens, another thing with cyclamens is try not to keep them watered evenly, but don't overwater them, they rot. So it's good to keep them a little on the dry side. So sometimes I'll water them good, I'll let them dry out for about 4 days, 5 days, and I'll water them good. You just don't want to keep stuff too wet because we are damper at night, we are cooler at night, and what that does is that gets the water to hang on longer into the soil. So it's really important with cyclamens is try not to keep them too wet, and just keep deadheading them and cleaning up the flowers, and that's important, especially after a rain. So that's with a lot of the annuals, and so that's annuals. Let's go into bulbs, and so bulbs are another thing right now. Now you're planting all of your spring flowering bulbs. So most bulbs think the season before. So I'm going to actually move this down because we have very limited amount of room on this little table. So I'm going to move this down, and then I'm going to put the bulbs up here, and we're going to talk about daffodils and tulips and some of the other stuff. And then I got some amaryllis, some Christmas amaryllis. So right now, there's a lot of different bulbs that we're going to be planting. First, I'm going to talk about the ones in the garden. Then I'm going to talk about the ones you can force for Christmas. So I even have some garlic up here still. So right now, planting your ranunculus. Ranunculus I put in the garden right now. Put them about 1 inch deep, space them about 6 to 8 inches apart. They'll bloom in spring. I do like a lot of the South African bulbs, like the little Harlequin or Spraxus. Good one to plant right now. These will naturalize in the garden, and you really don't have to worry about refrigerating them because they're for our climate. The little Iphianus, like these are really good, multiply quick. There is a tulip that's more of a species tulip, like the little tulipas. These are really good. They'll naturalize, and you don't have to transplant them to refrigerate them. The giant alliums, those are good as this fireworks. Now this is Scribertii, which is another good one. I do like the Dutch irises. I know they don't last that long, but I love putting them in the garden. And one thing that I've always loved doing is I'll put in pansies and violas. I love to mix the bulbs in there and just put a bulb here, put a bulb here. And one of my favorite little tools, I'm sort of a tool guy, so the little dibbles or dibbers, these are really good because you're just making a hole. You're dropping one bulb in there. The bigger bulbs go deeper, the little bulbs don't go as deep. So even with these bigger bulbs, I might go 1.5 inches down. With little bulbs, I might go 1/2 inch down. So that's another just very basic trick that I do. You have all your little daffodils, your narcissus are good. Freesias, you put in the ground right now. So a lot of different colors of freesias. I do like the giant, the Holland Sensation. I do like the sort of yellow and white. So, and the main thing too, another trick with bulbs is when you do plant them, as they start to finish, even next year in spring, let the bulbs die down on their own before you cut them back. Because if you cut the flowers too prematurely, you'll starve the bulb out. So bulbs are like a holding storage system for food and for water. So when you got to let those nutrients go all the way back in the bulb and store it for the following season. So that's important with bulbs. So let's talk about the forcing bulbs right now. So the biggest forcing one right now is paper whites. So these paper whites are really nice. We're getting some nice ones in. The trick with paper whites, when you're forcing them, give them 4 weeks. So now you would plan them to have them come up for Christmas. And so if you want to have these flowering, and another trick is you can grow them outside and then they'll flower and they'll be shorter. If you're forcing them inside, make sure they get a lot of sun, because when you force them inside, boy, they really grow quick, and sometimes they're flowering in 3 weeks and they're this tall. So sometimes I'll actually get little bowls, like a little 4 or 5 inch bowl. I always use my favorite potting soil. Some people use rock. I just use the potting soil, like the Malibu potting soil. That's a good one. And I always barely cover up the net. But you can use gravel, you can use the forcing jars. There's so many different ways to grow them. And keep them evenly watered, but again, don't overwater them because you don't want to rot them. So that's with the paper whites, and get them in a lot of sun. That's why a lot of people, they have them inside and they stretch and they start falling over, and they tie them with a little ribbon. They're not getting the sun, so the stems are elongating and they're stretching. So get those paper lights in a lot of sun, but I usually start them outside, get them growing, force them to their size, and just when they almost start blooming, I bring them in the house, to have for Christmas, or Thanksgiving. But now plant them for Christmas. And so now too, also another one that you want to get in containers right now are the Christmas amaryllis. So this is a really good one. This is called Ferrari, like the car. So again, you want to give them about 4 weeks. So plant them now. And I'll show you the front of the box though, because this is one of the bigger, I love the bigger red varieties. So you can do any of the red varieties. There's white varieties, and always plant them up to that neck. But don't bury that neck, because you might rot them out. They might rot out. When the stem comes up underground with these, they'll rot. So that's another trick. But one of my favorites that you don't see that much that I really love, there's another species type of amaryllis that I like. And years ago, one of my good friends, Eric Lux, turned me on to them, and he used to grow them and propagate them and do all kinds of stuff. And this is a species type of amaryllis called hippie eastrum. So I don't know if you can see the flower, but these are really cool. We did get one variety of hippie eastrums, and they have longer flower petals, and they're sort of longer and more spikier. They're not as wide. So this is one that's called doublet. So doublet is one. So you're gonna have to try this one this year. So that's a good one. And so that's with the bulbs. And then let's go into the perennials a little bit. So right now, one of the first perennials that always comes to mind right now is all your California natives. So now is the time to do your California natives. I'm gonna take this down and I'm gonna put a couple of them on the table, but let me just move it really quick, and I'm gonna go out of the screen really fast, and we're gonna grab a whole bunch of my favorite California natives. And then I do have some white sage, so I'm just going to throw them on the table. Let me grab some white sage. So I'm going to talk, first thing I'm going to talk about is we partnered, and I don't see the sticker on this. Oh, here it goes. We partnered with the California Native Plant Society on giving away white sage. So white sage have been poached in the wild. They're over harvesting them, the sacred sage, because everybody uses these in the smudge bundles. So you can grow your own, dry your own, and make your own bundles. You don't have to take them from out into the wild. But white sage are really easy to grow. They can get big. Some people say 3. I've seen them get 4, 6. So big, bushy, great plant. Love using it. Very easy. You'd plant these right now. So I have them. Salvia apianus. That's a good one. So if you want to look it up, A Sage in Every Garden is the name of the campaign. So that's really cool. Other plants that I love the Arctostaphylos. So all the manzanitas, I didn't see us having a lot of them in stock right now, but this is Emerald Carpet, another short variety. The most important thing with a lot of California natives, they establish with the coinciding with the winter rains. So a little bit of rain, cooler nights, they root. So establish them now, especially the touchy ones. But I don't really water them at all. I might water them once when I put them in. If we get a little rainstorm every 2-3 weeks, don't water them, because you have more of a chance of overwatering. So here's another white sage. I like the monkey flowers too. The sticky monkey flowers or the mimulus. The mimuluses are really good. Love the mimulus. I do like the buckwheats also. I don't know if I brought up a lot of the buckwheats. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. Another one that I like, there's a native penstemon that I like. That let me just take this tag off. But I like this. It's Penstemon heterophyllus margarita bob. This is a good one. It gets little electric blue flowers, blooms a lot in summer. So that's a good native. Oh, here's the buckwheat. This is one of my other favorites. This is agronium. This is the red buckwheat. I love this Grandi variety rubensens. So rubensens is really good. Love this. And this is a good food for all the butterflies when they're migrating. So that's important with that. So plant your California natives right now. Don't over amend them. This is the thing is I'll usually just put cactus mix in with them or some more of the decomposed granite, you know. So I don't want to keep it too wet. They rot out easy, especially if it stays too wet. So sometimes if your soil is pretty good, I like to just take the pumice. I'll put a couple handfuls of pumice and make my own cactus mix and just work it right in, so then I'm not over watering them and the soil's draining. That's important for them. So that's with all the Cal natives. Not heavy feeders. Plant them in the wintertime. Don't overwater them, and put them in a good amount of sun. And I didn't see any ceanothus. We're sort of low on ceanothus. That's another good one that I love. It's a favorite. And what else do we have? Oh, forgot one little one, another favorite. Artemisia californica. So that's a really good one too. And another thing I just wanted to briefly touch on, a lot of people have been asking about milkweeds. Milkweeds go dormant this time of year and we cut them way back. So that's why we don't sell the plants. You can buy the seeds though. I love the narrow leaf. This is fascicularis. So this is the one I like, but I will buy the seeds now and I'll plant them in about February. So that's with the milkweed. So don't plant them right now. Don't do the seeds right now. Wait till we warm up. They're more of a warmer season type of California native. So that's for the monarchs. So that, and I want to go over one other thing. I do like the some of the drought tolerant plants. Let me move this. I'm making sort of a mess. When I talk, I always bring everything. So you can still plant a lot of your drought tolerant plants. A lot of people think that they have to be planted in the heat of summer. This is a really cool one that I love called Baronia. Is this Shark's Bay? I think this is Shark's Bay, yeah. This is a Baronia. Love the blooms. Blooms usually spring and fall. Really good one. I like the Acacia cognata, cousin it. I'll do restringias right now. I'll do all of them right now. And so, very important, plant them right now. Don't water them that much. That's another thing when I'm planting drought tolerance for this time of year. We get a rain every 2-3 weeks. Don't water at all. So you can plant your succulents right now. All that stuff. So one thing before I'm going to go over insecticides and then we'll finish up. But one thing I do want to go over with fruit trees, they're starting to go dormant. Let them go dormant. Don't prune them until next month. So January is a big pruning month for all your stone fruits, apples, peaches, plums. So I'm not going to talk much about them. They're dormant. They're going dormant. And you don't want to strip the leaves. Let them drop their leaves naturally. So don't strip the leaves. Don't prune them. Just let them go dormant. Roses are basically the same thing. I won't feed them right now. I won't do anything with them. I'll let them go dormant. And then, because you really want to back the water off, since we don't get cold enough quick enough, our plants take longer to go into dormancy. So the way by putting plants into dormancy is backing the water off. Don't water as much, don't feed as much, because you want to let them rest. And that's true with all your stone fruits and your roses. So that's very, very important. Let a lot of those plants just slow down and go dormant. And I just want to talk a little bit more about insecticides, and then we'll take your answers or questions. So this time of year, especially on your vegetables and some plants, you'll see some of the cabbage loopers. I use the organic sprays for caterpillars this time of year. Spinosad is a really good one. You can use BT on any of your broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage. It's the little white butterfly floating around. They're called cabbage loopers. So I usually put about an ounce in a spray bottle, spray about once a week if they're getting chewed up really bad. If the snails and the slugs start showing up with us getting damper and getting more rain, there's an organic bait called Sluggo. Sluggo is just iron phosphate, safe around pets. It's not a methaldehyde base, so this is the only one you can use in a vegetable garden and around fruit trees, so that's very important. I just want to grab if you start to see the silver aphids on broccoli, cabbage, I just use soaps, organic Safer soap. We got a new product that I want to try that's by Safer, and it's Critter Ritter, and it's more of an animal repellent. But the one thing that's interesting, it has a lot of black pepper in it, and so pepper is known for getting them to sneeze, and they don't like the scent, and they don't like, so that's a new one. We might have to try it and to see how it works, because I'm getting a little problem with possums in my garden right now, and yeah, and I think that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, now it's question time. So any of your questions right now?
Yeah, so one question, David, is what natives are good for clay soil?
Well, you know, most of the natives can handle clay soil. Like I've had ceanothus in clay. I've had all of them in clay. But the main thing is you can break it up with cactus mix and don't water so frequently. Like that's why sometimes with natives, I can mix my natives into my drought tolerant plants, because then I can be moderate with the water. So you can break up the clay with cactus mix or with decomposed granite, that works. But the main thing is don't water as frequently. That's very important for all your natives. Natives grow out in the wild. When I go on hikes up north and around here, I see ceanothus and monkey flowers and buckwheat. They don't get any extra water. They get whatever we get from our rains.
Another question about the seeds that you talked about at the beginning. Can you just recap what seeds we should be planting now?
Oh, right now. So let me just hold them up. I'm going to grab a bunch of them. So seeds right now. So I'm going into, I'm not doing a lot of perennials right now either. So another one that I sort of forgot to talk about is sweet peas. So sweet peas, I know I plant them right now, so I forgot to talk about the sweet peas, the long stem sweet peas. So right now I can do alyssum from seed, even the pot marigolds, the calendulas I love to do right now. I can do the little dwarf snapdragons, do those right now. So pansies, violas, all the little Johnny jump ups, milkweed I'm going to wait on, I'm not doing it. And then even with the vegetables, spinach, carrots, beets, herbs like arugula, herbs like cilantro, so all that stuff. So direct sow right in the garden and a lot of sun, okay? And if you have any more questions about seeds too, come in and see me, because I'm always here. I'm here Saturday through Wednesday. Okay, that's it. No more questions? Okay. Thank you for joining me today. This is David Rizzo with Rogers Gardens. Have a wonderful gardening day and Merry Christmas.